Hello? Hello?
That was Donna, right?
Okay, test.
Testing.
Sounded good.
This is not. Hello? Hello?
And then Facebook or
That's
YouTube, I
it?
forget which. She said Facebook.
Hello? No, it's not Mary.
She's
Green
not
light
in
is on.
first grade.
You have to have your mouth right up to it.
Testing.
That's good.
It came out.
Okay.
It came out here.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
My name is Paula Ekstrom. I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of McHenry County, and I would like to welcome all of you here today. The League is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influence public policy through education and advocacy. If you would like to join the League, you may talk with any of our members here. The April 1st election is for townships, local governments, various school boards, parks, libraries, and others. It is where the people who allocate your property tax dollars are elected. There are 3 ways to vote in this election. The first is to vote by mail. There are mail-in voting applications on the table over there, and there are also, the second is to vote early. Voting early starts this coming Monday in various locations around the county. There is also a schedule of the hours and the places where you can vote on Monday. And the third is to vote in person on April 1st around the county at your regular precinct. We welcome the candidates from District 47 and District 155 who will serve on local school boards, and they serve without compensation. All candidates were invited to attend, and this is the group that could not make our March 6th attendance. Welcome the people who are watching online, and if you need to get information on candidates, we are, I think, sending questions. Have any of you received them? Yep. Some have, okay. That will be posted on IllinoisVoterGuide.org website of the League of Women Voters of Illinois. And now I'd like to introduce our moderator for today, Mary Finch. She is a member of our league who lives in Johnsburg, or the Johnsburg School District.
Good morning again. Like Paula said, my name is Mary Finch, and I'll be today's moderator. And before we start, would you please rise if you're able and join me? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here at today's forum, the candidates have been drawn randomly in order of who goes first, and each question will rotate as we go through. The questions from the audience have been sorted and potentially rewritten for duplication, clarity, and appropriateness. They will be asked of each candidate on a rotating basis. Each candidate will have 1 minute for your opening comments, 1 minute to respond to questions, and 1 minute for a closing statement. Also, we ask that everybody turn off your cell phones if you don't mind. That would help a lot. So now, let's meet the candidates. From Crystal Lake School District 47, we have Andrew Buckler, Mike Mueller, Deb Barton, Devin Tessmer, Jim Nelson. And from Crystal Lake School District 155, we have Elizabeth Lund and Mark Hills. So, with that, let's get started with our first question. And we'll begin with Devin, if you don't mind, with your opening statement.
Yeah.
Debbie Tester. I'm honored to be running for the District 47 School Board. As a lifelong resident of Crystal Lake, a local business owner, and a parent of 2 kids in the district, my son Jenner is in kindergarten, my daughter Cece is in 4th grade. I understand the importance of strong schools in building a community, a thriving community. My background in human resources and business has taught me to approach challenges thoughtfully, collaborate effectively, and make decisions responsibly. Everything good in my life has stemmed from living in Crystal Lake. My marriage, my kids, my friendships, the opportunities, the sense of belonging. That's why I'm committed to giving back to the community that's given me so much over the last 20 years. District 47 is awesome. I served on the board in 2022 and I was able to visit 11 of the 12 schools and get inside and see what's really happening. And I can tell you that there is magic happening in those schools every day. There's amazing educators and kids reaching for their full potential every day. And there are so many things to be celebrated, and I want to help to make that even better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mike?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the League of Women Voters from Henry County for having this forum and rescheduling for a second forum for those of us that couldn't participate last week. Again, my name is Mike Mueller. I've lived in Crystal Lake for over 30 years. I'm a graduate of Crystal Lake South High School, and I moved back to Crystal Lake in early 2000s, and I have a lovely wife and 3 daughters. 19-year-old Jillian, who's a freshman at the University of Illinois. I have a sophomore at Crystal Lake Central, Molly, and I have a 5th grader, Hope, who is in adjusted learning at Glacier Ridge. And the reason I am running for school board is 3 reasons: leadership, collaboration, and communication. I feel those 3 areas can make the best district possible. Effective leadership, getting ahead of problems. Effective communication, clear communication, letting everyone know what is going on and why. And then collaboration, increasing the amount of opportunities for teachers and students and everyone to collaborate with the board and the administration.
Thank you. Jessica?
After 33 years of being a special education teacher and special administrator, raising 2 children in the Crystal Lake School District, and getting my doctorate in curriculum instruction, I felt the need to continue my service to public schools in the area. I was elected to District 47 in 2021, and now I'm running for re-election. While on the board, I voted to approve the CLETA contract, ensuring that we are able to attract, retain, and recruit high-quality staff. I've approved the strategic plan, which inspires innovation and academic growth through an inclusive community. And I've approved the municipal boundaries so that they are logical and allow for growth. I participated in many communities and advocated for supporting all children's needs while maintaining a balanced district budget. And I look forward to continuing this valuable work. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mike. You can take the mic out of the stand. I think it would be. Thank you.
Jim?
Hi, my name is Jim Nelson, 30-year resident of Crystal Lake. I can't believe it's been 30 years. So I'm a father in the district. I have 2 boys, a 7th grader, Jay, a 5th grader, Ben, and a 1st grader, Luke. So Crystal Lake has meant the world to me. Being a graduate of Indian Prairie Elementary School, One Bell Middle School, and Crystal Lake South High School, it really was such a wonderful experience that I wanted to come back and raise my family here as well. I am a business professional in the insurance field, so one of my main goals that I'm looking to accomplish is just making sure that the medical plan that is administered by the district for the teachers is running as effectively as possible, and then also cultivating collaboration across the administration and the teachers union. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you for having us.
Thank you. Andrew?
Hello, good morning. My name is Andrew Butler, and I've lived in Crystal Lake for 18 years now. And I come to you today with over 20 years of teaching experience, a little bit at the high school level, mostly at the community college level. I have 3 kids who 2 have gone through District 47 and District 155. College, or out of college even. and I have one daughter who's currently in 4th grade. I come with lots of experience with budgeting. I work with unions, it's a great thing that I've done. And obviously all the teaching experience. I know what it's like to be in a classroom. I know what it's like to be a teacher. I know the things that they deal with. And now, currently an administrator at the College of DuPage. So I understand the other side of that as well. So I come with perspective of both sides, and I think can be very helpful in this position. And I look forward to answering the rest of these questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Mark?
Good morning. My name is Mark Pills, and my wife and I have been proud residents of Cary since 1992. Both my sons, Connor and Brian, attended Prairie Ridge High School, graduated in 2017 and 2019. And for about a decade, I coached their basketball and baseball teams. I was also an active member of the Cary Chamber. I spent most of my career in the insurance industry, running my own agency, until selling it 2 years ago. Now I want to get back in the district and play a pivotal role in my family's life. D155 has built a strong reputation, and I want to ensure it remains a place that attracts top educators and provides students with a wide range of opportunities to excel, whether in academics, trades, or extracurricular activities. In addition to supporting strong schools, I believe in fiscal responsibility, ensuring that tax dollars are used in the most effective manner. Schools should have the resources they need to thrive, while also maintaining accountability and transparency in financial decisions. With decades of experience in this community, a background in business leadership, and firsthand knowledge of the district as a parent, I bring a balanced perspective to the board. I'm committed to keeping D155 a place where students thrive, teachers want to work, and families are proud to send their kids. I'd be honored to serve, and I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And Elizabeth?
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Glenn. I would first like to thank the League of Women Voters for giving me this opportunity to address you all. I'm running for District 155, and a little about myself. I have lived in Crystal Lake with my husband and 2 children for 20 years, including our dogs, 2 black labs and now a new cat. And both of my kids went through District 47 and District 155. They're both in college now. I'm running because I believe that all students deserve an excellent education. I had 2 students who graduated from 155 from South, and they had a wonderful experience. I got a BA from the University of Georgia in English and another BA in elementary education. I taught in District 47. I taught middle school, so I know how nervous kids are in transitioning, and I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
I'm sorry for the interruption. The mics don't seem to be live, and we'd really like to make this hybrid. So do you mind if we check the microphones again?
Testing.
And when you talk into it, and these are our church microphones, you have to literally eat the microphone. So pass it close.
Pass it down and pass it. Take them out of the stands and pass them down.
And testing, testing,
Nothing happening there.
testing.
Testing.
That was good.
That one? Is it on?
Well, you were talking into it.
It was.
Elizabeth, can you speak in there and see?
Hello?
My voice is just so loud.
It might be it.
I think in this room we can all hear you, but we want it to go
Right.
online too.
Good action, Deb.
Check the connections.
I am not a techie. But I do deal with technology quite a bit.
They were working Wednesday night on this.
Yeah.
When we tested.
You wanted to just pass the phone back.
Let's go back.
I got it. Let's go back in the back.
Okay, we have an idea.
Take a break.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
Is one working?
It didn't sound like it.
I think my loud voice picked it up.
Yeah.
But you are all speaking
loudly and
Can you
clearly.
speak now into the
Try
mic?
it.
Try it again.
Hello.
Testing.
Hello. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh, Lee.
One.
Lee, good
Wonderful.
job.
Well, if you turn on the switch. Funny thing. All right. I didn't know they didn't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we shall continue. Mark, what did you say about a sense of humor? All right, so let's begin with question 1. Mike, we'd like to start with you. This is actually District 47, but you're all welcome to answer it if you'd like to. And if you're not particularly associated with that question, then you may pass. Okay.
And by the way, if she hasn't told you, there's a 30-second and a stop, just so you know.
We noticed you.
It usually comes earlier.
And if you're in the middle of a sentence, obviously you
You
can finish your
finish.
thought. That's fine. Okay. So here we go. Mike, we'll start with
Yes.
you. The board members elected will have the responsibility of hiring a new superintendent. What qualities do you feel are important for the next superintendent to have?
Great question. That is one of the main reasons why I am running, to be part of the team that elects the next superintendent. And I know everyone who gets elected in April will be part of that. The 3 main things, and I talked about in my opening statement: leadership, collaboration, and communication. Obviously, effective leadership, we all know it when we see it. Sometimes it's hard to define, but getting ahead of problems, leading a team is getting everyone together to the table to discuss whether there's things going right or wrong. Collaboration is part of that. So there seems to be some barriers right now in the district between teachers, the school board, and admin. So those walls need to kind of come down and people work together better so they seem more inspired and part of the process. And then communication. We've seen instances where great communication leads to great outcomes, talking about the middle school boundaries and how much that was talked about. And that was a great.
Would you please silence your phone, sir?
All right, thank you.
That's the timer.
It's the timer.
Oh, it's a timer.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Deborah, same question?
Yes. As a school board member, we have 3 major functions. 1 is to approve the budget, 2 is to review policy, and the 3rd is to hire the superintendent. Those are our primary responsibilities. As Mr. Mueller mentioned, I think having quality communication is key to this role. It's someone who's going to be working with a variety of stakeholders, a lot of people with a lot of differing opinions. This person's going to need to be able to listen to all those opinions, take them into account, build collaboration, and to support all the stakeholders involved and everyone involved. And do that without getting defensive or letting their personality necessarily interfere their thought processes. So they really need to be able to value those differing viewpoints. I've had the opportunity of working with a variety of superintendents throughout my educational career, and I look forward to being involved with this next step as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
Great, thank you. So I agree with everything that Deborah and Mike said on effective communication. So in my professional career working for CVS Health, I've been a part of some very high-profile hires within our organization. And I'd love to bring some of that experience to this process with the board. One thing I would add to the comments that have already been made on effective communication and leadership is someone that is inspirational. I've spent time over the last month and a half visiting our schools and meeting with the principals and seeing how they feel communication is going and what they're looking for in a leader as they're going forward. I think inspiration is something that's really critical to ensure that everyone's pulling in the same direction. If you can't feel inspired by a leader, then it's really hard to follow that leader in the direction that the district would be going.
Thank you. Andrew?
Okay, thank you. I can't argue with anything that's already been said. I found it interesting in all of the surveys and questionnaires that I've been filling out, the 2 words that have come up the most are communication and transparency. The way in which the new superintendent will work with teachers, parents, community members, all stakeholders involved is of the utmost importance. And also being transparent, allowing the community to understand why decisions are made. These budgeting decisions that come up and these, most recently, the cuts that were made, those shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. Parent, community members, we should know what's going on. We should have an idea of what's happening. So, and have been a part of the process along the way, so that there are no surprises and that we can all work to come to the best conclusion. I also have been on many hiring committees, and I bring a wealth of experience in that area and would, again, love to be a part of choosing the next leader for our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, some great comments there. Yeah, obviously communication and transparency are huge. I haven't been in the education world, but in the business world, it's very important to find someone with the right experience, showing that they were effective in past roles, and that they're willing to, really communicate and let people know what's going on. So in the case of children, that's even more effective or more important than it was at the corporate level, because you're dealing with our kids.
All right, and Elizabeth?
I think in hiring a superintendent, definitely look for someone who can communicate and who is transparent, but also making sure that the candidate aligns with our community's values would also be very important, and that they have a strong leadership profile. So I have worked under several superintendents, and the ones who communicate and are transparent and also receptive to teachers is very important. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. A related question, it's time to start with Deborah. Oh, Deborah, I'm sorry, I'm lost in my own.
That's okay, after 6 people,
Last time too.
6 people go, it's hard to find any original thought. But I think every one of you touched on really, really good things. So most of the reason why I'm running this time for the school board is because I want to have the opportunity to be a part of the process of hiring our new superintendent. This school system is at the heart of our community, and our future of this community for the next 20, 30, 40 years is going to be in the hands of this next superintendent. I want to be a part of the board that is looking for that person. So I think everybody's touched on really good things. I do have a background in human resources and business. I do think the person that we hire for this position needs to have a background as a superintendent that had success in another district. I think that's very important given the climate in our district right now between the teachers union and the administration. We need to get somebody in with a fresh perspective, somebody that can take a look around and identify the issues and help us to bridge the gap. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. All right, this is related. This time we will start with Deborah. Currently, teachers in district are informally told they are not to address board members directly about district concerns and rather to go to the superintendent. What's your view on this subject?
Communication with the unions and the teachers and the administration and the board is something that definitely our district needs to work on, that we've had difficulty in struggling with. I do agree that there is a certain chain of command, and after going through several trainings from the Illinois Association of School Boards, they highly recommend that school board members do not reach out to union officers. And the reason for that is because there's that perception that someone from the union may persuade a board member, and that board member is not necessarily looking at everyone's opinions, but specifically the opinion that was shared with them by a union officer. So that's part of the reason why we need that. It's part of that transparency picture that you need to be able to know that your board members are listening to everyone and not just one or two people. And primarily, the teachers do need to work with the administration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jim?
Yeah, so as I referenced in the answer, the previous answer, I've spent some time in our buildings the last 45 days and trying to build some relationships with both the teachers and the principals at those buildings. I think Coming from a business background in sales, I really believe in face-to-face interaction and collaborating with individual stakeholders. Understanding there is a chain of command that I respect, but that's, for me, I would like to hear a lot of those things directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak, as far as what their concerns are and what action items they'd like to see presented in front of an administration. So I do believe that teachers should have space to communicate with the board, what exactly that looks like. I'm open to taking a different viewpoint, whether that's in a group setting or one-on-one. I'd be open to that type of discussion, but really believe in face-to-face interaction and building relationships.
Thank you. Andrew?
Yes, I believe in the face-to-face relationships as well. I put forth in one of the many surveys or questionnaires, I'm very interested in having a monthly meeting with community members and other stakeholders to just talk about what's going on in the community, what concerns are, what issues are. And I know that the rules state that I could not speak to teachers at those particular meetings. I feel it's important to hear what everyone is saying so that I can bring that back and share it. I would invite my fellow board members to come with me to those meetings. But I would absolutely, I understand the chain of command, but I would absolutely be open to a discussion of how we may adjust that particular rule, because I do feel it's important to hear what those teachers have to say. And whether it's a group setting, I think it might be a way to do that, so as not to as Deb said, have any sort of perception about what's going on there, make it all above board and be transparent. But I would absolutely be willing to have a discussion about how to adjust those rules.
Thank you. Andrew? Mark?
All right, so I definitely believe in, the more face-to-face communication is a great thing. However, if the perception was that something's going on here, that's, some sort of impropriety, I really believe in, staying with that chain of command.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Okay. I also believe that you should stay with the chain of command. However, there does need to be a way for the staff for their questions and concerns to reach the board. But yes, I think that they should go through the chain of command first.
Okay, thank you. Devin?
Okay, that's a great question. So when I sat on the board in 2022, I was not aware of any such policy. Obviously, there was a chain of command, and everything should go through the superintendent because I'm not an administrator. But I am a community member, and a lot of the teachers are community members as well, and they have every right to call me, reach out, express their concerns. I will immediately bring those concerns to the superintendent. There's no reason to hold on to them. There's no reason to talk to other people about them. You have to address a problem head on, and I think that those teachers deserve to be heard, and I would always have an open door policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Right now, the policy seems to stifle and inhibit communication. I think every teacher, community member should have the ability to directly contact any board member for any purpose. And I don't like that the BOE has to have their emails, channeled through the administration. I think that can keep people quiet, and I don't like that. I want full, open transparency. Right now, if you look at the Board of Education website, some members have their email addresses listed there to be contacted, others don't. And that seems to be, that's a change in policy, where they want to direct all those communications, emails, to a general BOE email address. And I disagree with that policy, and I would work to change that. And because I think every member of the community, the taxpayers elect me, so everyone should be able to contact me. That doesn't mean I have to respond, and I certainly wouldn't be speaking for the entire board with whatever answer or non-answer I get back. But I think everybody in the community has a right to contact any one of us for any reason.
Okay, thank you. I think we're going to dive a little deeper into this.
Can I make one comment there? Just a quick add. Maybe you have something where they could directly deal with you one-on-one, but you have to bring it up to everyone on the board. It might be a possible solution.
Well, that's our next question, actually, so hang on to that thought. Okay. All right. How could the school board repair the credibility that District 47 has lost between the administration and the teachers?
It's a great question. So in business, I really believe again in building relationships, and that starts with getting to know people on a personal level. And I don't think you can do that over Zoom calls, or that definitely can't happen at a board meeting. So I think being in the community, hosting events, I think that the few events that I've been a part of during this campaign process, meeting the citizens of Crystal Lake who are concerned about what's going on in District 47 has been extremely eye-opening for me. And just being able to sit there and listen to all of the challenges that multiple families have brought up. So I would first look to, again, try to bridge that gap, meeting with the teachers on some regular basis, whatever that forum looks like, to ensure that all of the board has the same information coming to them, whether that's, whatever form that looks like. So I really believe in that. And then second, the parents. So also visited a few of our PTA meetings over the last several weeks, and really have enjoyed getting to hear what the parents have to say and what's going on at their individual buildings.
Thank you.
Excuse me. I absolutely believe in having one-on-one conversations, getting in the room and with the group even, and having a discussion about what the problems are. I also believe in looking to the teachers for issues, questions about things as simple as something as curriculum, right? Why aren't teachers involved in conversations regarding curriculum? They are the subject experts. And they should be involved in those conversations and should not have anything thrown at them and say, this is what you're going to take. I currently work in my current position. I work with unions. There's administration, there's adjunct unions, there's the full-time teacher unions. I understand how that process works and the way in which you have to follow those very, very strict rules, but you still have to get things done. And that is what I do on a daily basis, and that is what, by meeting with the teachers, meeting with the parents, as I said in that a monthly meeting that I would love to set up if I'm elected, to really have great conversations and make some improvements.
Thank you, Andrew. Mark.
Yeah, as I said, I think it's a great idea. I just don't want there to be any perception of impropriety. So maybe that is a solution where that could take place, that one-on-one communication, but you have to bring it up and let everyone know about it. That's where you still have full transparency. And of course, these are difficult problems. It's not easy. You're just going to have to keep working on it.
Thank you. Elizabeth.
Okay. I too believe that we should have an open door policy after going through the chain of command. Teachers need to be respected, and their views, and also parents, all the stakeholders need to be respected and heard. So I understand that you do not want to have a teacher who might be a union rep trying to get something through without transparency. So I think it would be very important that meetings are held in person or through Zoom so that everyone can see what's being done. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. So I just want to first touch on the fact that we have a really awesome board in place already and a great superintendent who's doing a great job with what she has right now. The last 5 years have been really difficult on everyone, on the administration, on the teachers. There's quite a bit of burnout at this point after the COVID pandemic. And people are struggling, emotionally and with resources, especially in the schools. So it's a challenging time for everyone right now, but I think that it can only get better. And I think as a board member, having, an outlook of trying to make things better, bridging the gap, like Jim said, getting more communication and more collaboration between the administration building and the teachers. I wouldn't be opposed to having a committee where the board members and teachers meet on a monthly basis, like Andrew said. I think just putting it out there that we can all do this together, because we all want what's best for the district. The administration, the teachers, the parents, everybody wants what's best for the district. And if we all work together, we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. There are some districts who do have monthly meetings where there is a back and forth between board members and members of either the staff or the community. And that's something that, like Andrew said, we should implement. Because right now, open comment period at board meetings, there is no answer. It's just comment from the community, and then the board listens and may or may not get back to them. So we can use that as for the community, but also for the teachers, right? Like we said, monthly meetings where there is a back and forth, where we can answer questions in front of the whole board or, maybe select board members. But also to repair any kind of current, divide really requires effort, I think, on the administration side to really dig deep and figure out why is there a broken relationship that the questionnaire, had. I don't know if it's broken, irreparable, I don't think so. But it takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes a lot of meetings and communication for that to happen.
Okay, thank you. Deborah?
As mentioned before, the community always has the ability to come to board meetings and express their opinions during public comment. Unfortunately, as a school board, we're not allowed to have that back and forth conversation at that point in time. And really, it's more a matter of just letting everyone have the chance to express their opinion. We also receive emails from a variety of people, whether they're sent directly to me or whether they are sent to that DOE email site. Any email that is sent to that, I see that. Every board member sees that. Also, we have surveys that we send out. We sent out surveys for the strategic plan, for the boundary committee. We send those out to the community as a whole to get their feedback. And we have teachers that do participate on the curriculum committees, pilot new curriculum that might be coming out, and so are able to give feedback that way. I agree that, meeting with the union is an excellent idea. In fact, that's something that has started and that we've been talking with the union members, and I've been one of the board members that's been able to process or participate in that process. So, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Jim?
I think I answered
You
this.
started. All right. Really great. Let's move on to a different topic. How do you define diversity, equity, and inclusion? Is this an important issue in our district, in your opinion? And do you feel the district should remain committed to the support of non-binary and trans students? Andrew?
Do I get an extra 5 minutes? So as quickly as I can here, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I believe that every student that walks through the doors of those schools need to be treated exactly the same. We need to provide all the support that we can for every one of those students. And we need to understand, in terms of equity, that not everyone is at the same place in order to get to that final point of equality. There's equity and equality, right? We need to identify those students that require that extra help to get where we want them to go, which is to get to that equal point with all the other students. In terms of every single group of students, I don't care what it is, we need to support them. They need to feel safe at school. They need to feel comfortable at school, that they're in a solid learning environment. I've spent my entire life working towards that, my entire professional life working towards that. And it is not something that I would change here. It is absolutely something that I would work for. And I would be willing to have any discussion necessary to forward that way of thinking. I attended the International Women's Day rally last week with my son, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. A diverse student population, it's just so important for every student to have the same opportunity. And again, this is something that in the corporate world, I can remember being, back in Allstate around 2000 at their corporate home office. And I think for the first time, the corporations really realized how valuable that was. So it's a win-win situation. I feel like the more types of people that are involved, the better the outcomes.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Okay. This issue is near and dear to my heart. I am a member of the National Organization for Women. We hosted the Women's March last weekend, and all students should feel safe. They should all feel welcome. They should all get the services that they need. Adjusting curriculum to reflect diverse voices ensure students have what they need to thrive. And I think that DEI is very important.
Thank you.
Devin?
Hi, thank you. Like Andrew and the other members of the forum mentioned already, I believe that every student deserves to feel safe and valued at school, and our school system should be there to foster the individuality and the potential of every student, no matter who they are and where they come from. So that should be of the utmost importance in our school district. I give 2 examples of equity in our school district. Right now, there are schools in the district whose class populations are very small, and then there are schools in the district who the classrooms are overflowing with students. I mean, we've got 28 in some and maybe 16 in another school. That's not equity across the district. So just figuring out a way to give every child an equal starting point at the beginning of the day, making sure they have a meal before they learn every day, making sure they have a full belly and they're warm. There's many ways to address equity, and I think that we can make every child feel safe and valued at school.
Thank you. Mike?
The part about inclusion always sort of raises the eye a little bit in me. I have a daughter with a disability. She has Down syndrome. And a lot of the programs and talks about diversity and equity in the district do not include kids with disabilities. I've seen it firsthand. And I think this district needs to do some work with kids with disabilities. My daughter's education has been pretty good because of some really great people, including the principal of Glacier Ridge. And others in the district have been very dismissive of our concerns about how children with disabilities are treated in the district. She doesn't go to her home school. She hasn't for years because they could not successfully address her needs at that school. You know, that's not inclusion. You know, inclusion for parents who have kids with disabilities means something very different. And for 40 years, it's meant having a child, your child included in all programs within a school, and honestly, that's not happening in District 47, and I'm here to help change that. Thank you.
As a special education teacher and administrator, I've devoted my professional career to advocating for children who have diverse needs. I continue that work as a board member. Currently, we have board policies that ensure that there is no discrimination against a child due to a variety of reasons, including any disability, their second language learner, their LGBTQ status, their homelessness status, whatever the case may be. I support that policy. I support the new strategic plan that was adopted, which has a vision statement of inspiring innovation and academic growth through an inclusive community so that each and every student and staff member succeeds within and beyond the classroom. And as Devin brought up, yes, we do have some inequities in our district right now, and this is one of the reasons that we are reviewing our elementary school boundaries, and I have the opportunity to participate on that committee and have that. So thank you.
So we have a saying at my organization that we try to meet people where they're at in their healthcare journey. I think meeting our students where they're at in their learning journey, their life journey, right? This is a starting point for them on being comfortable in our community. Something that I experienced going through our districts, feeling a level of safety and comfort going through District 47. So I would love to pass that on to the next generation of students. Whether that be students with disabilities, our LGBTQ community, and all other students. I believe in equity for both our high extended learners and our special education departments. So I think it's really important that we're getting the whole spectrum of students where they're at in their learning journey and starting off their life.
Thank you. Okay, switching it up a little. Mark, we'll start with you this time. What actions would you take to mitigate the loss of federal funds and programs?
Well, obviously, federal funding is something that you absolutely want to take full advantage of. Now, again, not being in the education industry, spending most of my time in corporate management, IT, and owning an insurance agency, I don't know exactly the particulars, but I'd be interested in learning and really helping to take advantage and get all federal funds. So I don't have an intimate relationship with that topic at this point.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Currently in District 155, federal funding makes up about 4%. So, and that covers our special ed and students with special needs, ADA compliance. So we are going to need to make that up if we lose our federal funding. Some ways we could do that, because Governor Pritzker spoke yesterday that there will not be the funding to come from the state. We can still try and write grants, and I'm still hopeful. We can seek state government grants. We can do fundraising, renting out school facilities, apply for grants through educational organizations, and reach out to the community, because we are going to need some help if this passes. Thank you.
Thank you. As a business owner, I understand the importance of managing budgets carefully. Obviously, none of us have a crystal ball, so we don't know exactly what's going to happen with this federal funding and the climate that's happening right now. My running mate, Jim Nelson, did send me an article this week that talked about the 1,200 employees that were cut from the Department of Education. Obviously, that's going to affect us. We don't know if that's going to affect federal funding. Currently, the district takes about $9 million of federal funding out of the $110 million budget. So we would have to get creative. We would have to get frugal. We'd have to make choices, but we can manage our way out of it. We have $48 million in reserves, and the reason that we have those reserves is for situations like this. We don't know what's going to happen with the state or the Fed at any time. And as a community, we need to be able to keep reserves. We need to be able to have a plan to get through situations like this and make the best of anything that comes to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Devin had a great answer. When it comes to federal funds, and I know we get a lot of money for special needs funding, IDEA, and for Title I for children from lower income families, and a lot of that funding is coded into law by Congress, so I wouldn't think that that would be in danger of going away. Some of the other functions of the Department of Energy Department of Education, are at risk, and that is concerning, because we talked about transparency and, in our situations and with our board, well, we're not seeing that transparency right now, but what's going to happen there? So it does kind of put a cloud over the operation of every school district in America, is having to deal with this issue and think what will happen. And right now we don't know what's going to happen, we can only speculate. And that's sort of a hard place to be in when you're creating a budget. And you don't want to create a budget based on speculation. And it leads to a lot of questions, and hopefully we'll get those answers, shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I agree that as a board member, balancing the budget against the needs of the students and the programming that we want to provide, that has to be the hardest decision, or the hardest thing, I think, as being a school board member, is making those decisions. When I was a special administrator, I managed federal grants of about $1 million in size. So I clearly know what those federal grants are for and how they can be used, and how important they are to our community. But I think, as was mentioned previously, we need to keep in mind that what is happening at the federal level, it's going to take a long time before it filters down to us at the local level, thank heavens. It's going to go through the court systems, through legislation at the state and federal level, through school code, our school attorneys, and even down to the recommended board policies. I think we always need to look at how can we manage a balanced budget, and then if, unfortunately, when the time comes, if we do need to make some cuts, that we do that in ways that impact our students at the absolute least level. Thank you.
Jim? Answer that. In my professional career, I've dealt with the rollout of Obamacare, right? A huge piece of legislation. And I love what you said, Deb, that this stuff takes time, right? This is not going to happen overnight. So I love that we're talking about this right now, that it's front and center in the media, that's stirring that conversation. We're going to have to find a solution here, and we're talking about what those opportunities look like. In my professional career, I also worked a lot with our grant funding program at CBS Health and what that looks like, working with nonprofits to help fund their programs. So bringing experience and working both with for-profit and nonprofit organizations on trying to ensure that funding is available. So again, love that we're talking about this, but we don't exactly know what this is going to turn out like. And I think as long as we continue the conversation and work together on finding a solution, we'll find an answer for the district. I truly believe that.
Thank you. And Andrew?
Yes, I'm glad we're having the discussions as well. I think knowing that, okay, maybe we do have some time before it filters down to us, I think that makes it even more important that we're preparing for that right now. The discussion needs to continue, and we need to figure out if and when that does happen, what are we going to do? And I think the other big point for me is it feels like as a citizen of Crystal Lake that whenever these types of issues come up in the past, we always seem to make cuts from the same particular areas. And I think it's so important that we, as Deb said, we need to impact the kids as little as possible with this and really broaden the spectrum of where we look at and where we're going to cut funding from, if that is indeed what we need to do. We cannot continue to just focus in on the same areas every single time that we want to cut funding from, because a lot of times those are programs that are so important to our kids.
Thank you. Okay. Next question. Book banning has become a big problem in our nation's schools. How would you address threats to our children's access to books others say are controversial? And Elizabeth, would you start?
Okay. Book banning. I am against book banning. I trust our teachers, I trust our librarians to pick out age-appropriate books. Knowing fact-based and historically accurate history is key, is a key component to critical thinking, even when it's uncomfortable. For those who don't know the history, are doomed to repeat it. So I would advise the parents, please put in writing which books you would like your child not to read or have access to, and communicate that with the teachers and librarians in the school, and I'm sure that could be accommodated. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my thoughts echo was pretty spot on, because I don't believe that we should be banning books from schools. I think you have to have every historical reference in the library because children need to learn from that. And like she said, if there's a parent that has a specific issue with certain types of books for their child, then the librarian should know that. Also, we hire librarians who have the education in the background to make the choices to choose age-appropriate books for our children in these schools, and those professionals should be able to do that for our kids. I don't see any reason that any books should be banned unless it's not age-appropriate for the kids that are attending that school. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, that's really the key phrase, age appropriate, and some people might have different opinions on what is age appropriate for a 7-year-old, 11-year-old, 13. And I think that's where a collaboration between parents and the district is really important, because there's rumors or innuendos or whatever going around where it says, this book is inappropriate for my child. And the parents need to be heavily involved. And then the district needs to be able to respond to those concerns in a way where everyone can come to agreement on what materials would be available or not available because of, a condition where you think something is not age appropriate for their child. So I think parent involvement in these decisions is very important. Thanks.
Thank you. Evan?
excuse me. We currently have a board policy that says that we do not ban books, and I support that policy. Our policy says that the curriculum in our schools and the books that are available in our learning centers are all based on the American Library Association's policies and their standards. And again, I support that policy. I think it's very important that we allow our children to see diversity. Children need to see people like themselves. Maybe it's someone of a different color, or they happen to be a different color than their teachers, or a different background, or a different identity. And it's important for them to see success stories of others so that they can see those mentors. Also, they need to learn about other people. Learning that, just because someone's not exactly like me, that doesn't mean that they're not a great person and that I can't learn from their experiences. So that diversity is important. And also, as mentioned before, we need to learn from the past so that we don't make those same mistakes again. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
So agreed, I would not support book banning for District 47. I truly believe that we need to be educating our children on what's going on in society as that evolves, right? Whether that be the LGBTQ community, whether that be some of the historical references that I know have been mentioned in this ilk. So definitely agree that we need to be teaching kids about our past in order to inform the future. My mother was a librarian in District 47 for 15 years, and thinking back to that time, definitely respected her opinion on what was and wasn't age appropriate for me when I was picking out books at the library. So I think we need to trust our teachers, trust the Library Association and the guidance that they're putting forward.
Thank you. Andrew?
Yeah, I'm right along with everyone else here. What I taught for 20 years was English, composition, literature. I would not support banning any books. I trust the teachers, I trust the librarians, and I trust that parents, if they have concerns, can work with the teachers, that collaboration, as Mike mentioned, and figure out a solution. But I would absolutely not support banning any books from the library, or textbooks for that matter. And diversity. I love when my daughter comes home from school and gets a book from the library and asks me about something that she didn't understand, whether that be about a person, a place, whatever it is. And I get the chance to explain to her and say, all right, let's sit there and let's talk about that, right? And that's what I believe we should do when it comes to these different books that are under consideration for banning.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, I'm also completely against banning of books. I mean, other perspectives that children are not familiar with, so important to be aware of. And history has shown us that it's just really important, right? If you've got one viewpoint and you're sticking with it no matter what, you don't want to see anything that says anything else, that's just not a good thing. So I absolutely just trust librarians, educators to have the age-appropriate books for the students.
Thank you. Devin, we'll start with you on this next one. Governor Pritzker recently stated that he is proposing a statewide ban on cell phones in the classroom. What are your thoughts on this issue?
I am a huge proponent of this. I do not believe that cell phones have a place in schools. I understand that some parents have some safety concerns, and there's parents, households who have two different split households and they want to be able to get a hold of their children. I get that. But they can get a hold of them after school, before school. Cell phones should be in their lockers, in their backpack. Jim and I were just on a tour at Lundahl this past week with Angie Compier, who is the principal of Lundahl. We're walking down the hallway and she sees a student with his phone sticking out of his pocket and she's like, Daniel. She sticks out her hand. He knew exactly what to do. He's like, I wasn't using it. I just keep it in my pocket. She took the phone. She said, I'm going to have this in the office till the end of the day. And he knew he was wrong. He went to his classroom, didn't put up a fight, and he went back into his classroom and I started clapping. Because that is exactly how it should be handled in the schools, because they are just a distraction. Our kids have a hard enough time learning with their peers around and all the things that they have going on every day. So phones have no place. Thank you.
Ditto. No. Obviously, when you're running for District 47, these are middle schoolers and elementary kids, and they definitely don't have a place in the school, in your lockers, in your backpack, If there's an emergency, you need to get a hold of your child, that can be done through the office. Call the office and that can be arranged. To get a message to your child for whatever reason that is. So, I agree. I do not think that kids in the elementary schools and middle schools need to have cell phones with them at all times. So, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to present a slightly different viewpoint. I see cell phones as tools. And with any tool, it needs to be taught how to use it appropriately. I have a child who has ADD, and through his experiences, I've developed strategies for myself to help me organize. And a lot of those are involving using our cell phone, whether it would be reminders of when assignments are due, or keeping track of homework, or using it as a calculator because my son had difficulty with his basic math facts. I do believe that we need to be very stringent in when they are used and when they are not used, but I also feel like we need to realize that sometimes for some children, they can be an effective tool that can be helpful for them in certain circumstances. I'm also a strong proponent of using hands-on activities and interacting with their peers and group group learning settings so that children won't be tempted to be on their phones. They'll be doing other things instead. Thank you. Jim?
Thank you. Yes, I do not believe that cell phones should be on students at all times during their school day. I think you definitely want them to be able to interact with technology. I think that's so important, given the changing dynamics in the workforce that we have today and how we interact with technology on a regular basis. I think there does need to be exposure to that. Thinking of my middle schooler and how he utilizes his Chromebook for his tasks that he needs to execute on throughout the school day and being able to do that effectively. I think the phone for me is just a little too easy to get sidetracked, and why I would lean towards utilizing technology provided by the district when needed for individuals who want to access technology and have that integrated into their education.
Thank you. Andrew?
I agree as well. I don't feel that the cell phone needs to be in the classroom. I have no issue with the student in the backpack or in the locker for an emergency situation. Totally understand. But it is, 9 times out of 10, it is a distraction more than anything else. I have mentioned, I put in when I've written all these surveys and questionnaires, if a teacher, as Deb said, if the teacher gives permission that a student for a particular activity or something that they're doing in class, if the teacher gives permission, I would be okay with that. But otherwise, it stays in the bag. And my boys lost cell phones when they were in middle school, right? No need for it. I think they'll. Again, I do like the idea. Use the district's technology. That's the way to do it. Use the district's technology and keep the cell phones in your bag.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, generally would like kids not to have the cell phones just because of distraction. There's a lot of distractions as it is. However, in certain circumstances, I think you have to be flexible. There may be a situation that, it's important for the kid to have the cell phone on. So, again, generally against the idea of having cell phones, but making exceptions for certain situations.
Since we're talking about high school, we're talking about Gen Alpha, and they've had iPads and cell phones their whole lives. So I don't believe that cell phones should be used in the classroom. However, I think that we need, in high school, we may have to sort of detox them a little bit by having like wireless Wednesdays and things, just putting in programs like that. But yes, I agree that we should not have cell phones in school because it causes a lot of anxiety. The social media causes a lot of anxiety. They are a distraction for teachers when they're teaching. However, if there's a 504 and a student needs it, or if a teacher needs it for a lesson, then those could be some exceptions.
Okay, thank you. That's everyone, right? Yep, all right. The next one is about dual language program. How would you address issues like bullying, school no? How would you address issues like bullying? That's what I was connecting with the cell phones and bullying. How would you address issues like bullying, school safety, and disciplinary policies? Do you feel current policies are working? Mike?
That's kind of a tough question to answer about, whether the policies are working. I agree with the policies on bullying in the district. I think they're written very well, and the devil's in the details and how they're implemented. And I'm sure on a case-by-case basis, you can find instances where maybe the policy fell short of what's going on. But if you echo back to everyone's comments about collaboration and collaborating with the parents, the student, the teacher, and the admin to identify problems before they get out of hand. Right? Everybody working together to identify an area or a student who's either at risk or a student who is the risk, so to speak, and getting out ahead of those problems. And that can happen with effective communication and collaboration between all the stakeholders so that bullying doesn't get out of hand. And you want it, obviously, out of the schools, in all schools, at all times. Thank you.
Thank you. Deb?
I agree with Mike that the current board policy, I feel, is effective. It doesn't allow, it prohibits bullying in any circumstances. However, as Mike kind of alluded to, bullying can be an insidious situation. It can happen very subtly to a child without necessarily the teacher or the administrator or even the other students in the classroom knowing that it's going on. So as much as, we need to effectively, as adults, try and step in and intervene whenever possible and, set up restorative practices so that those relationships that are distraught by bullying situations, that those children can learn to later on get along, but then also teach students, what do you do when you're bullied? Build those social emotional skills so that they realize that, unfortunately in this world, we're gonna run into bullies, and how do you deal with bullies without letting it impact you emotionally?
Thank you. Jim?
I agree with everything that's been said on this question so far. I think it's also speaking specifically to District 47 and the deep equity work that they've done over the last several years. I think it's been really important work to help along these lines of bullying and having students find commonality. They're not going to agree on everything, but can we find space for them to have commonality and a shared experience that they can connect on and limit bullying? It's something that has been around as long as schools have, I'm sure. And as long as, we're doing everything we can to create those opportunities for students to make connections and, find that commonality that I spoke of, I think that's the best that we can do.
Yes, I agree that the policy is written well. I think Mike said, I would agree with the way in which the policies are enforced in different situations could be evaluated. I think there's some work that could be done there. I also, Deb stole my answer, social, emotional, the work that we do with our students to help them prepare for situations like this, to try to get away from that, to teach what are the impacts of you saying things like this or acting this way, and then also, if this happens to you, how do I deal with that? What do I do? Those are the places where I think we can really bump up our effort and really put forth, provide some more services to the students to help, because it can happen when student doesn't even notice it, and it's so important to be able to identify this and work with them.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, so obviously, it's a horrible thing. I know back in my high school days it was more of a problem. It seems like when my sons who graduated, they had made great strides in reducing that, but it should be completely eliminated. I imagine that the schools are doing a good job with it as far as making kids very aware. In other words, to the would-be bully, hey, you're going to be called out on this. You know, it's not cool to be a bully, right? And I think that's happening a little bit, and I'd like to see that. We've got to continue until it's eliminated. I think of the old, there was a comedy movie a few years back, 21 Jump Street. Two detectives went back and posed as high school kids. And they came from the time of thinking, wow, it's cool to be a bully. And now it was very uncool. So they were surprised to see that their bullying was uncool. And they felt bad about it. So kind of that type of thought, if that can be more embedded and, you know, keep making progress on that, that'd be a great thing.
Thank you. Lisa? I believe that District 155's policies on bullying and discipline and how to handle it is very effective. We need consistent rules and consistent consequences. I also agree that because mental health is so important and bullying impacts mental health, that there should be resources available to kids so that they can talk about their feelings with counselors or social workers, just so they can understand and deal and process. I also agree that the social emotional strategies we use in the curriculum and introduce will help students deal with the bullying. And I sadly hear bullying might get worse before it gets better. Thank you. Devin?
So bullying is a critical issue that must be addressed proactively, and all of you have said really awesome things about it, but I wanted to talk about what the district is doing already. They have the PBIS program, so it's like a kind of like a caught you being good. You know, they have the respectable, responsible, safe, and I think that's really important because they talk about things like being bullying and being safe and keeping your peers safe. And then they actually offer rewards. They do like a student of the month. And I know that they had an anti-bullying student of the month. Every classroom had that student that showed that they could stand up for their peers and their fellow students against bullies. So I think that's really important. Also to rehabilitate kids that maybe are bullying instead of having really harsh consequences, but teaching them the right way. And then we do need to pay attention to cyberbullying because it's not happening at school, but it's happening at home. They used to be safe at home and maybe escaping their bullies at home, but now they can get to them through the internet and social media. And that's something that we need to be cognizant of and provide education to parents around cyberbullying because that's a very new thing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next question. This one's about the dual language program. Currently, the dual language program struggles to keep continuity of staff and has high turnover, especially in the middle schools. How do you see your role to help solve this problem? Deb, we'll start with you.
I think District 47 has an exceptional dual language program, and I'm very proud of all the wonderful things that are going on in those classrooms. As the question alluded to, yes, there's definitely a teacher shortage for teachers who are bilingual and are qualified to teach in those classrooms. In District 47, we've done several things to try and remediate that. And let me just add also that this is a nationwide shortage. This is not just a Crystal Lake or McHenry County or Illinois issue. This is a nationwide issue. But one of the things that District 47 has done is they have a teacher grant where staff members who may not have their teacher endorsement but are bilingual and would be interested in advancing their skills in that area are able to apply for the grant, and it helps provide them some financial aid. For example, helping to cover their salary while they're student teaching, things like that. We do offer reimbursement for teachers to advance. So,
thank you. Jim?
Yeah, I think the results at the last board meeting, I believe there were some results shared on the fast bridge testing for children participating in a dual language program. And, the results spoke for themselves, just outpacing some of the other populations in the district. So yes, I understand that there is a shortage, as Deb referenced. I think the district has got really creative in how to fill those positions, given the shortage, bringing folks over. I believe we have some folks from Spain that have come over and help that we brought on board to help with those dual language programs. So I think if elected and onto this board, I'd like to continue to see us think outside the box in how we address this issue, because as I've said, it is nationwide and something that most districts are dealing with.
Thank you. Andrew?
I think just to add to what's already been said, I love the grants, as Deb spoke about, the helping with the funding for the teachers who don't have their credentials. But I think more of that may be what is called for here. I do have quite a bit of, I've written many grant proposals. And it's something that I would love to work with on the board, to be able to find more ways to bring in some money to try to bring more folks in to teach these classes, because they are very important. They do a wonderful job, but we've got to have the teachers in there in order to help try to retain, keep those students in there and keep doing what we're doing. So I would just say again, think outside the box and find other ways that we can try to entice teachers to come in, because that's really the point of the whole thing. We have to have teachers.
Thank you. Mark?
Dual language program, a great program. And that's a great idea. I love the fact that you're kind of increasing the radius of where you're looking, whether you have to go to a different country to find a qualified teacher. I think that's worthwhile. Maybe you have to look at too with the shortage, of course, just basic economics, right? Offering a little more pay for those teachers that are qualified, and maybe increasing referral bonuses for teachers that refer someone that is qualified could fill that spot.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I think dual language in the elementary and middle school is very important. I substitute taught in a few of those classes, and they're wonderful. And the kids are really excited about being there. And they do test really well. They get so excited when they get their placement for high school for Spanish. It really, they see how their hard work is paid off. So very important. Thank you.
Thank you. So I was just going to go back to the teacher vacancy grant that Deb touched on, because I think that's a really cool program that I was just reading about. In the first year that the district used it, they were able to give money to 3 individuals in the district to help them get additional certifications or go through their student teaching, like Deb said, and pay their salaries. In year 2, they're now doing it for 25 individuals in the district. So helping 25 teachers or not teachers get additional endorsements so that they could be dual language teachers. One really cool story that I saw on the district website was a TJA employee, so a bus driver, who decided to go back to school, get her education degree, and use grants through the district, and now is using the teacher vacancy grant and was able to do her student teaching, and she's now a dual language teacher in the district. And she's been with the district for like 20 years now, and started as a bus driver and now is a dual language teacher. So we need to get creative. We need to find ways to pay for these individuals to get these endorsements and want to stay with the district, and we need to be competitive in wages. I think that's something that we also need to work on.
Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, the dual language program is obviously having trouble retaining and hiring, and part of that is dual language is a great option for District 47, but I think I read that only 4% of the districts in the country have dual language like we have it. So that really shrinks the pool of available teachers to participate, in that and teach it. So the creativeness of the grant programs and whatnot are really good. And so the district is doing some really good hard work to fill those spots, because it is such a, great thing that the district does offer, that other districts around us do not offer. So when people are moving into the area, hey, Crystal Lake, wow, they have good schools. We want to keep that. So dual language is part of that, because that's not generally offered at many school districts. So, the creativeness and the efforts that the district has put forth to fill those vacancies, is admirable. And I'll push to continue that. Thank you.
Good, thank you. There's one more
question, and then we'll have a 2-minute closing statement from each of you. So the last question, we'll start with Jim. There seems to be little coordination between districts to transition between middle school and high school. What are your thoughts on increasing communication between the districts? And this question came from a parent of a high school freshman.
Oh, I love this. It's something Devin and I were actually talking about with the administration over at Lundell this week. And then, oddly enough, I saw a teacher from Crystal Lake South High School and asked her, well, how's the study skills of those incoming freshmen that you're seeing? Do you think they're really getting everything they need from middle school to prepare them for high school? And the answer was that there's some gaps there. I really think that there could be more collaboration across units in the high school and at the middle school to ensure that they are meeting the needs of each and every kid as they're entering the high school. So whether that's a shared administration day where they collaborate on where each individual kid's at. I know there is some work going on right now across districts to help with some of the special needs kids, making sure that those transitions are seamless for kids in the fall. But definitely think there's some area of opportunity to have both the administrations and the teachers cross over to collaborate in making that a smooth transition.
Thank you. Andrew.
Yeah, I can agree with that. With the study skills, my boys, for example, the surprise that they had going from middle school to high school was tremendous. They were amazed at the amount of work that they had to do compared to what they had before. But what I would say is, along with just the move from middle school to high school is a big one, regardless. Just the atmosphere. But I would also say that the curriculum would have to be something that we need to look at as well. What is the math curriculum, for example, the new math curriculum, where you've got some middle school kids now who are learning the new math curriculum and then are moving into high school where it's a different curriculum when they get there. So we have to think about those things to try to make that transition as smooth as possible for those students. I would also say, as much as I would love to have communication and transparency, those are my things here, between the board and teachers and parents and the community, why don't we talk more why aren't the boards meeting 155, 47? Why don't we sit down to talk and see who's doing what well and see how we can make that work each other?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think a mentorship program would be great, where you've got, high school kids coming to talk with 8th graders, particularly freshmen. Get a good group too with different backgrounds, some that maybe really focus on academic type of clubs. Theater, athletics, get kids from all kinds of backgrounds to really share their experience. I know it's an emotional adjustment, but also a curriculum adjustment. So also it's a great idea of trying to have continuity there, because it's going to be a tough enough jump without maybe encountering a different system completely.
Thank you.
I've worked with 8th graders, and they are nervous and excited, and I've been to several transitional IEP meetings for 8th grade students who are going over to the high school, and they are really beneficial. I wish we could have those for all of our students, but sadly can't. Some good things, D155, they have Parent University. So I think that they offer classes to help parents get their kids ready. The school is open before school starts, so they can go in and try their lockers. A mentorship would be great, like a big brother or big sister to help them out. Also, I worked in Barrington, which is a unit district, and they did curriculum mapping through kindergarten through 12th grade. So if we could do something like that, where we're making sure that kids aren't missing skills. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie?
Okay, I have a lot to say about this one, so I'm going to talk really fast. So the reason I asked the question when I was with Jim at Lundell last week was because I have a number of friends who are teachers in the District 155 system, and the freshmen come in and they're kind of like deer in headlights, and all of a sudden they have a lot of homework and they need to study and they don't have the skills. And I'm not saying that District 47 is doing a bad job of teaching our children. I'm just saying that we could do a better job in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade of preparing them for high school. And this gap is about to get bigger because we're going to be implementing standards-based grading into the middle schools in District 47. So that means that they're not going to have a traditional grading scale in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then they're going to go into high school and they're going to have a traditional grading scale, and it's not going to compute. So we're going to need to do a lot of education around that. And so I think we're going to have some committees. We're going to have 8th grade parents, 8th grade educators and high school educators that work together. When I was in the district before, I had started talking to Amy Blazier, and because she's on the District 155 board and we go way back, about how we can bridge a gap between District 47 and District 155. They're both awesome districts and we should be working together.
You did it.
All right, I'll make 3 points. Is one, I have heard repeatedly about how the District 47 boards and the District 155 boards don't collaborate that much. And we've talked about collaboration all day, and that needs to increase. And I would definitely welcome that as a board member. And anecdotally, 2 of my daughters who transitioned, they transitioned very well. So, I know the question was, why don't they transition well? But I think, there are a lot of success stories too. And so District 47 is a good district, and they are doing some really good things. But one point I will make is, I disagree with the standard-based grading at the middle school level. I think part of that transition to high school and later on to college is ABCD. That's the grading scale that they use in high school. That's the grading scale you'll have in college. Everybody knows what that is. There is no need to learn or be taught what this is going to be. And fundamentally, I don't see the reason why they're changing. I've heard all the presentations about it, but I disagree with that. And I think middle schools should stick with ABCD grading. Thank you.
I've heard several great ideas expressed here about this issue, about the 2 districts working together. I love the ideas of having the boards meet or having some sort of student mentorship program set up. I think both of those would really ease the transition. One of the things that we have done in the last year was we worked to align our middle school boundaries so that students are more likely to attend the middle school and then high school with the same student population that they usually are with. So that was one of our main focuses of revising that. Also, we do meet frequently between the districts as far as the teachers and the administrators, so there is some of that curriculum mapping going on, but again, we definitely could do more. Aligning the curriculum, we actually have high school skills that are being taught at the middle school level in some of the math classes, so there's definitely that communication going back and forth.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
We're good.
We're good. So we're ready for closing statements. In the interest of time, can you do it in 1 minute or do you prefer 2? I'll leave it up to you.
I can do it in 30
Trying to do it in
seconds.
1.
I'm going to watch for 30 seconds to a minute.
We'll recalibrate for 1 minute closing, and we will start with Andrew.
So, as I mentioned earlier, I believe that I bring a lot of valuable experience that I would bring to the school board. I have spent my professional life working in education. I understand many different perspectives in terms of who's doing what and how they get along. I do believe my kids, excuse me, the reason in which I got into this race initially was because I kept saying we were losing teachers. And that is why I filled out the paperwork and I got myself into this. And it's still one of the main reasons why I'm here. And I'm here because my boys had a fantastic time in D47. And I want my daughter to have the same. And I want the kids in the community to have the experience that they had. That's really to the heart of it. So I am asking for your vote, and I would love to serve on the school board.
Thank you.
I'll try to be briefer to make up for my long intro. So again, I live in the area. My wife and I since 92. Kids went K through 12 through Crystal Lake schools, had a great experience. And of course, problems along the way, but, and don't get me wrong, I don't have an education background, more in corporate management, corporate IT, I've owned an insurance agency, but I think the most important person to have on your board, you have to have some educators, right? I would be there to kind of complement that and offer a different perspective. So I would really love your vote, and I really want to help. I want to give back.
Thank you, Mark. Elizabeth. Okay, I'm obviously a former teacher. I grew up with educators. Education has been important to me my entire life. I have 2 students who graduated from 155 and had great success and a lot of assistance. Mental health and DEI is really, really important to me, and making sure that the kids have a safe environment is probably my biggest passion, along with their academic careers. I want to give back to the community. I'm very passionate about education and want students to be successful and have a successful academic career. And I want them to be ready with a purpose that aligns with their passion. Please vote for me for District 155. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Devin.
So as a lifelong resident and alumni of District 47, I'm passionate about giving back to the community that shaped me. I believe that strong schools are the foundation of a thriving community. I'm committed to every student, and I want to give them the opportunity to succeed. These are our kids. The last thing I want to do is politicize our school system. I just want to do what is right for our community in the long term. I feel the pain as a parent and as a taxpayer, and I'm committed to making the decisions that are in the best interest of our community and reflect our shared values. I'm not here for short-term gains. I'm here for long-term success, to keep this community amazing. We all call it home. I want quality teachers and I want quality education. I want our kids to have the best experience they can have in District 47. A child gets to go through 2nd grade one time. Let's make that 2nd grade experience the best 2nd grade experience that they could possibly have. If elected, I will prioritize transparency, fiscal responsibility, partnerships that strengthen our schools and our community. I will work to support educators, foster collaboration between District 155 and District 47, and I'll work on long-term success for our children. And I'll support equity and growth for the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you.
So part of my intro that I didn't get to is I'm an engineer. I got a master's in mechanical engineering from UC Berkeley, and I'm a local business owner of a manufacturing company. I solve problems, analyze, troubleshoot, decide, plan. These are the skills that I think I can bring to the school board. I talked about leadership, collaboration, communication, transparencies. I feel I have the skills and abilities to look at those areas and say, okay, here's a problem, here's what I'm going to do, here's how to solve it. Let's put a plan to work and get it done. And I feel so blessed to be up here with all these great candidates. I'm proud to be, a member of District 47, both past and current, and a 30-year resident of Crystal Lake. I'm proud of this town. I'm proud of the school district, and I want to continue to see it grow and be the best that it can be. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah?
I feel like my time on the board has been very productive. I truly have an understanding of how a school board works. I would be just one of 7. My opinion is no more important than anyone else's, and I need to be able to work with others and collaborate with them, even when we might disagree. Also, I want to say would be excited to serve with any of my fellow candidates on the school board. I think we have an excellent team. And I honestly feel sorry for the voters because it's going to be a really tough decision. Yeah. Too bad you can't vote for all 8 of us. While on the board, I've been extremely active. I've participated in more committees than any other board member. I was on the Student Learning Committee, Transportation Joint Advisory Committee, Parent Group Advisory Council, Contract Negotiations Committee, School Boundary Committee, Strategic Planning Committee, and went through deep equity training as part of the district. I've rarely missed any board meetings, and I really work to put the needs of all our students first and foremost in everyone's mind. I'm willing to deal with difficult issues so that our children can receive the high quality education that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
As an alumni and a father in the district, I'm beyond excited for this opportunity. I would love an opportunity to take the business sense that I've gained in my 20 years in the insurance industry and apply that to the work on the board. The insurance plan is probably the second biggest line item on the budget besides the teacher's salaries. So I'd love an opportunity to make sure that we're being as effective as we can with those healthcare dollars. Building relationships is what I do. I'm in a sales organization, and I'd love to be able to bring some of those skills to the board to help foster collaboration between the teachers, the administration, and boards. And thank you, and I agree with Deborah. It's going to be a really hard vote. I would love to work with any one of my peers up on stage, and would love to be able to have an opportunity to collaborate with them.
Well, thank you to all the candidates. We appreciate your time, your energy, and your passion as well. And thanks to all of you.